Hi, I'm Lee Cottrell from Pittsburgh Technical College, and I'm going to walk you through how to use the Selenium locators to find objects on a web page. So we have a web page, and we need to pull stuff off of it. The tool that does that in Selenium are called locators. My objective is able to build locators in Java. I want to find some links on a page. I want to define XPath for you, and I'm going to show you how to use Chrome to find the elements. That's probably the most important part here initially, is using Chrome to find the elements. An overview of this process. You're learning how to write Selenium tests. In Selenium, you need to be able to select the HTML elements in code. It's real easy to do with a mouse. It's harder to do with code. There are a variety of ways to pull this off. We're going to access all these elements through a driver. If you've set up your first Selenium install, chances are you've already set up a driver and you've already used the .get to open up a web page. That same driver that opened up the web page is what you're going to use to access the elements. This driver, of course, links are slid to whichever browser you chose. My preference is Chrome, but you can use Chrome, Firefox, Explorer, Edge, whatever makes you happy. All right, so let's talk about how to use Chrome to get information in your elements. It's pretty straightforward. I'm going to walk through the steps here. I'm going to show you. It's easier when you see it. You're in Chrome. Right-click on whichever item you're interested in. Select Inspect, and an element code window appears. Just standard F12 console with just its elements at a console. The item you've right-clicked is highlighted, and all the ID attributes, etc. are visible. This is a whole lot better than viewing code and scrolling to find it. It jumps right to it. The bottom will show you the XPath tree, or a number if there's more than one. And then right-clicking will get you an XPath element. So let's watch this. This is a page called scrapethissite.com. This is a website that encourages the use of Selenium and other tools to learn how to automate a page. So it's a relatively complicated page. I've already viewed page source in this. There's a lot of stuff. I don't want to read through that. So I want to interact with this box. So I right-click it, I inspect, and that box pops up. We see that input type equal text, class equal form control, name equal Q, ID equal Q. Wow, its name is Q. But now I know its name. That is a whole lot better than scrolling through it. Likewise, when you know the name of this button, I click on it, properties, inspect it rather. It doesn't have a name. It has a class. That becomes a problem. That's okay. Another way to search for things is XPath, and I'll show you how to do that in a little bit. But if I want to know what the XPath is, I right-click the element over here in my elements. I do copy, and you see I have a whole bunch of information, my full XPath. XPath is the path through the HTML document. Now, you should know enough about HTML to read this. All of your HTML bodies are pages are broken up into HTML, then a body, and then this is inside of a div, a section inside of the div, more divs. I'm now the fourth entry in the div, fifth entry in the div, the form, and the second input box in the form. That last one's easy. Second input box in the form, here's my form, first input box, second input box. That's easy. All right, so to do this in Java, driver is a new Chrome driver. I forgot my parentheses of the Chrome driver. Load it up with get. And I'm going to search for take the driver. Web element text box is driver.findElement. FindElement is the method of driver that you can use by name and then pass the name. And that locates it. If I want to send something to the text box, I do that text box, which is this object here, send keys, send some data, and I submit it. Submit is like pressing enter. And then I get back here, I can check the results, assert equals some value, and then the text. FindElement searches your web page for an element. You must provide the search criteria using the by object, such as like by type value. Type is how you're searching. It returns a type of web element, which means you can search for it, web element, and then do things on it. If it's not found, it throws a no such element found exception error. Here's an example. Web element x equal driver.findElement by ID, parentheses, quote name, close parentheses. This is looking for an object called name on the box. Clearly name whatever you want. This is the HTML attribute ID you're searching by. X will now be linked to whatever object has name. findElements is useful when you have more than one element with the same name, like radio buttons. This one finds all of my input tags on a web page. Notice how we create a list of them because findElements returns a list. So list of type web elements, call it inputs, whatever you want. Driver.findElements. By this time I use tag name, and I'm looking for anything that's an input. If I have a form with 38 objects, my inputs array will be size 38. The by types you can use: ID, name, class name, tag name, link text, partial link text, CSS selector, and XPath. You can search by anything you can possibly think about. If you can't find it with ID, name, class name, tag name, link text, partial link text, CSS selector, XPath will be your trick. XPath will be what finds it, because XPath is the absolute path through the entire HTML DOM right to the objects. So let's take a little example. Here is a cheesy form. You'll see some things of names, some things of IDs. I'm going to be able to interact with this. So I'm going to find the username text box. We'll see it as an ID of username. So web element tbox equal driver.findElement. The B is a typo, by ID username. Find the username text box, web element tbox, driver findElement by tag inputs. So this will find it as well. This will find the first one. So I just did this, find that element two different ways. This will return the first one. You can also loop through it to walk it all the time. If you need to loop through it, it's better to use findElements. Okay, another example. Here's some links. These are some of the best Pittsburgh sports events in my lifetime, anyway. And clearly, I don't have an href out. This is just a placeholder. I've got target video, target new. I've got several A's up here. I'm going to find all the links in the page. List web elements, A tags equal driver.findElements, note the S, by tag A. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If you're doing the size in that, it'll be 8. Walk through the for each loop, and then do something with it. Follow it. You can build a web spider with this. You can simply count it. You can determine whether it's alive, whatever you need to do. If you don't want to find all of the links, you want to find a particular link by full text. So I'm going to look for the Steelers page. Web element Steeler equal driver.findElement by link text Steelers. It will not find Steelers Immaculate Reception. It'll just find Steelers because it finds an exact match. If you want to find all of the Steelers links in the page, that's using partial text. So list web element Steeler links equal driver.findElements by partial link text Steeler. So this will find every link on the page with the word Steeler in it. If you thought there were only Steeler tags, you can test with an assert. Asserts are really helpful in Selenium. It's how you do your testing. And this is a cheesy one. Assert equals 2 stealerlinks.size. If stealerlinks.size is anything other than 2, this test fails. Here's that form again. You see how I've got some classes in this one. I'm going to search by CSS class this time. We want to find the class button object in the form. Web element, give it a name, driver.findElement by class name button. If there's more than one, as before, this will find the first one. I can then click that button. Web element btn is a button. Button.click will send the click event to that particular object. Now, we want to type into that box. So here I'm finding all my inputs. I'm going to put my name in every one of the text boxes. Send keys is the tool. Object.sendKeys, parentheses, what you want to send in. Send keys expects string. This would put Lee was here in all of the input boxes on the form. Now, clearly that's silly unless you were doing some type of test to see if the page was robust or if it handled errors well. You would most likely pull the text box one at a time, fill with the information you want, then click the button, then see if it goes through. But send keys is your tool. Finally, we talk about XPath. XPath is the XML path language. It provides structure through documents. As you probably know, HTML is a brother of XML, which are all siblings or underneath the OpenSGML standard. All of your browsers you work with support the document object model, a level 3 XPath, which is a pretty decent XPath. You have full access to the DOM. When you mess with XPath, you have a variety of parts of the document you can play with. And those are here. A node becomes any HTML tag. An atomic value is a piece of information on the page, like a text or a source for a picture. Parents will be anything above your current, children anything below your current, siblings are stuff at the same level. Example of that, if you're in a list, all the LIs are siblings, whereas the UL would be a parent. Ancestors are nodes above the current, so you might have a parent being an ancestor, and there might be something above the parent. So if you had a div tag with a UL inside of it and an LI, the div and the UL are ancestors to the LI. Descendants, of course, are children below. Two examples. I have a partial page on the left and a table on the right. Together, these make one full document. Using XPath, we're going to see how we can pull different parts of this page out. Remember that HTML is the parent to all tags. UL is the parent to all 3 tags. But look at this. I have HTML, UL is the parent to those 3 LIs. LI tags are children to the UL and siblings to each other. TR, TH, and T are all descendants of table. UL, body, HTML are all ancestors of LI because they're before it. Now recall, if you need to use XPath, you can type it by hand. Or you come right here, right-click this one, inspect it, and then you find it and you copy the full XPath. Much easier. And if you look at this, again, HTML body, div section, div, table, tbody, tr4, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. The one's on? Yeah, Calorie Flames. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Bam. Counts this as a TR. So it's the 4th row, 1st column. If I went this guy over here, inspect this one, again, copy that XPath. Similar setup, but 12th row, 8th column. XPath is the full path through the DOM to the object you're interested in. I'm not expecting you to build those by hand. I'm expecting you to steal them like everybody else does. When you're inside of nodes, you can use these to select some objects. Slash will be selecting elements relative to root that match. So you're starting at the top. Slash is from the current node. So if you looked at my examples here, these are all explicit XPaths starting at the top. If I were in the first table, I could say this, current table, tbody, tr12, td8. The difference is I'm in the table, and then I'm finding the 12th row. Okay, current node is dot, parent of the current node is dot, and A pulls out the attribute of a node. So if you wanted to pull out a text value out of a node and check to make sure the source of an image was correct, XPath is a way to pull that off. Okay, so here's how to find the first TR tag in the table. HTML body, table, TR. You don't have to double slash these, thankfully. If I'm in my first TR, because I've already found it, I can find the first TH, //TH, because I'm currently in the TR. If you have multiple objects that match, predicates help you out. They act like one-based arrays. Hear that? It's a one-based array. It starts counting at 1, not 0. It's a one-based array. So if I find the third li tag, this says start where I'm at, find the third li tag from where I'm at. This will find a text box, the name of password, search where I'm at, start input, look for the name of password. And then if I want to search by text, I have a contains property that allows me to search and find this particular text. And as I showed you already, all this information is in Chrome. Simply right-click the object you're interested in, inspect it, and the element code window appears. Read the screen. So back to here. I want to know what this is. Inspect, and it jumps to it. It also nicely highlights what I'm looking at. All right, those are the Selenium selectors. From this, you know how to select objects, and you can start writing your own tests.